August 31st, 1997. Two places, two worlds, one nation torn in half. London is drowning, not in rain but in tears, in flowers, in a grief so vast it can be seen from space. Kensington Palace has vanished beneath a sea of roses, white, red, pink, their petals wilting in the summer heat, their stems forming a carpet 6 feet deep. The scent is overwhelming, cloying, funeral. Cards flutter in the breeze. We loved you, Diana. Sleep with angels. The Queen of Hearts. 500 miles north, Balmoral Castle stands in silence. Ancient stone, cold mist, empty windows. Inside those granite walls, the Queen of England stares at a teacup she hasn't touched in an hour. Her hands don't shake. They never shake. But something in her eyes has changed. Something that wasn't there yesterday morning when the world still made sense. A queen never cries. That's the rule. That's what 70 years of training taught her. But this week, the crown has never felt heavier. This is the story of 5 days that almost destroyed a 1,000-year institution. 5 days when protocol met rage, when duty met humanity, when one decision, one single, fatal mistake, turned a nation against its monarch. The phone call came at 4 a.m. sharp, insistent, shattering the Highland silence like glass breaking in a cathedral. Prince Philip answered first, his face draining of colour in the darkness. He placed the receiver down with the kind of slowness that comes before catastrophe. "Elizabeth, it's Diana." The Queen sat up, reached for the lamp. Her movements were mechanical, rehearsed. This is what training does. It makes you steady when the world collapses. "What happened?" "There's been an accident. Paris. A car crash." Her voice didn't waver. "Is she hurt?" Philip's jaw tightened. "She's dead." 5 seconds of silence, the kind that holds entire universes. Then the Queen spoke, and her voice was exactly what you'd expect from a woman who'd ruled through wars and scandals and revolutions. "Wake Charles. Immediately." But in those 5 seconds, a decision was already forming, a decision rooted in everything she'd been taught since childhood. The crown must not bend. The institution must be protected. Personal grief is private. The world doesn't need to see us break. Protocol dictated the response. Diana was no longer Her Royal Highness. She'd divorced out of the family. The funeral would be private. The princes would remain at Balmoral, shielded from the media circus. The Queen would stay in Scotland, maintaining dignity through distance. This was how royalty handled tragedy. With restraint, with composure, with the kind of stoic strength that had carried the monarchy through centuries of crisis. What the Queen didn't understand, what she couldn't possibly foresee in that dark Scottish morning, was that the world had changed, and Diana had changed it. The British public no longer wanted restraint. They wanted emotion. They wanted their Queen to feel what they felt. They wanted tears. And when those tears didn't come, they would demand blood. September 1st, 1997. Day 1. London wakes to the impossible truth. Princess Diana is gone. By noon, the first flowers appear at Kensington Palace gates. By evening, they've multiplied into thousands. By midnight, the pile is taller than a man. But at Buckingham Palace, something is wrong. Something small. Something that will become a symbol of everything the nation is about to rage against. The royal standard is not flying. More specifically, it's not flying at half-mast. The flagpole above the palace stands bare, empty, a skeletal finger pointing at an empty sky. Protocol dictates that the royal standard only flies when the Queen is in residence. She's in Scotland, therefore no flag. And the Union Jack, the nation's flag, only lowers to half-mast for the death of a sovereign. Diana was not a sovereign. She was divorced. She was, in the cold language of protocol, no longer a member of the royal family. So the flag stays up. Or rather, it stays absent. The pole naked against the London sky. On day 2, people start to notice. Journalists point cameras at the empty flagpole. Broadcasters mention it in hushed, disbelieving tones. The flag has not been lowered. It sounds innocuous. It is anything but. By day 3, it's a national scandal. The Daily Mail's headline screams, "Show us you care." The Sun publishes an image of the empty flagpole next to photos of grieving crowds. The caption reads, "Has she no heart?" Phone lines to the palace are overwhelmed. Angry calls, thousands of them. Lower the flag. Come back to London. Acknowledge her. Show us you feel something. Inside Balmoral, Prince Philip is furious at the media. This is absurd. We're grieving privately, as is proper. The public has no right to demand we perform our sorrow for their entertainment. But Tony Blair, the new Prime Minister, sees what the Queen cannot. He calls Balmoral. His voice is respectful, but urgent. "Your Majesty, with respect, this is becoming dangerous. The mood in London is turning. Not just against the family, against the institution itself." The Queen's response is clipped. "We will address the matter appropriately." But she doesn't move. She doesn't return. She doesn't lower the flag. Because to do so would be to admit that protocol was wrong. That the rules she'd followed her entire life were inadequate for this moment. That Diana, the woman who'd broken every royal rule, who'd embarrassed the family, who'd divorced the heir, deserved the honours reserved for sovereigns. It was a small decision, a technicality, a matter of flags and protocol. It was also the worst mistake of her 45-year reign. Inside the castle, time moves differently. Thick stone walls muffle the outside world. Grandfather clocks tick in empty hallways. Portraits of dead monarchs stare from gilded frames. The Queen walks these corridors alone, her footsteps echoing on ancient floors. Princes William and Harry are still in shock. William, 15, trying to be strong. Harry, 12, crying in ways that make the adults look away. Charles hovers near them, hollow-eyed, caught between being a father and being royal. The Queen watches her son and grandsons with something approaching helplessness. She wants to comfort them, wants to say something that sounds like warmth, but the words don't come. They never learned that language in her generation. You comfort with presence, with duty, with routine, not with displays of emotion that make everyone uncomfortable. On day 2, Charles confronts her. His voice is raw. "Mother, we need to go back. The boys need to be seen. The nation is grieving." The boys are grieving privately, as is appropriate. Diana wouldn't have wanted this. She would have been among the people. And there it is, the ghost in the room. The woman who changed everything by refusing to follow the rules. The woman who hugged AIDS patients and walked through minefields and cried on television. The woman who made the British public believe that royalty could be human. The Queen's face hardens. Diana made her choices. We must make ours. But outside those stone walls, Britain is unravelling. The BBC, the most royalist institution in media, begins questioning whether the Queen has lost touch. Polls show support for the monarchy dropping. For the first time in modern history, people are openly debating whether Britain needs a royal family at all. One of the Queen's most trusted advisors, a man who served the crown for 30 years, enters the sitting room on day 4. His face is grave. "Your Majesty, I must speak plainly. We are facing a constitutional crisis. The silence from this house is being interpreted as callousness. The flag situation is emblematic of a larger perception. That the family is cold, that you don't care, that the institution values protocol over human life." The Queen sets down her newspaper. "What would you have me do?" "Return to London. Address the nation. Lower the flag. Show them you're human." But her advisor is right, and she knows it. The flowers keep coming. By day 3, Kensington Palace is invisible behind a wall of bouquets. The scent is surreal. Millions of roses decomposing in the late summer heat. Sweet and rotten simultaneously. The smell of grief made physical. But it's not just flowers. It's anger. Raw, boiling, unprecedented anger at an institution that suddenly seems alien. Cruel. Out of touch. Crowds gather outside Buckingham Palace, holding signs. "Where is the Queen?" Diana deserved better. Mourn with us or leave. These are not Republican activists or fringe protesters. These are ordinary people, the kind who've defended the monarchy their entire lives. Grandmothers who watched the Queen's coronation, middle-aged men who've never questioned the crown, teachers, nurses, shopkeepers, the backbone of Britain, turning against their monarch. Television coverage is unprecedented. Sky News broadcasts live from the palace 24 hours a day. The empty flagpole becomes a national obsession. Journalists interview grieving crowds who speak in voices thick with tears and rage. She was our princess. Where is our queen? They treated her like she was nothing, like we're nothing. If they can't show emotion now, they're not human. And if they're not human, why do we need them? The newspapers, traditionally deferential to royalty, turn vicious. Editorials call for the Queen to abdicate. Columnists wonder if the monarchy has become an expensive museum piece, incapable of genuine feeling. Even the BBC, the state broadcaster, the voice of establishment Britain, begins asking uncomfortable questions. A veteran correspondent speaks directly to the camera, his tone more in sorrow than anger. The question Britain is asking tonight is simple. Does our Queen understand us anymore? September 5th, 1997. Day 5. The Queen returns to London. Her motorcade drives through streets transformed into a cathedral of grief. Flowers everywhere, on sidewalks, on lampposts, on car windshields. The scent seeps through the sealed windows of the Rolls-Royce. Miles and miles of roses, each one an accusation, each one a reminder of her absence. The car stops at the palace gates. The Queen steps out, and for the first time in her 45-year reign, she does something unscripted. She walks to the flowers, alone, without security pushing people back. Just a woman in a black dress and pearls, reading the cards left for another woman she never truly understood. Her face is composed, always composed, but the cameras capture something in her eyes, something that looks almost like regret. She reads the cards in silence. Diana, you were the light in our darkness. The people's princess, forever in our hearts. Rest in peace, angel. Above her, the Union Jack finally flies at half-mast. The decision was made at dawn, protocol bent at last. That evening, the Queen addresses the nation on live television, not from the throne room, not in ceremonial dress, just sitting in a simple chair, speaking directly to the camera in a way that feels uncomfortably intimate for a woman who's spent a lifetime maintaining distance. What I say to you now, as your Queen and as a grandmother, I say from my heart. The nation holds its breath. No one who knew Diana will ever forget her. Millions of others who never met her, but felt they knew her, will remember her. I, for one, believe there are lessons to be drawn from her life and from the extraordinary and moving reaction to her death. The words are careful, measured. This is not an apology. The Queen never apologizes. But it is an acknowledgement, a bending, a crack in the armor that's protected the crown for a millennium. I admired and respected her for her energy and commitment to others, and especially for her devotion to her two boys. William and Harry, named, humanized, not the princes but her grandsons. September 6th, 1997, Diana's funeral. Westminster Abbey fills with 2,000 guests, but outside, along the funeral route, 2 million people stand in silence, the largest gathering in British history. The Queen stands as the coffin passes, and then, captured by every camera in the world, she bows her head. It's a tiny gesture, 5 seconds, but it's everything. The Queen of England, who bows to no one, bowed to the memory of the woman who broke all her rules. Those 5 days changed the monarchy forever. They forced an ancient institution to confront a modern world. They proved that protocol without humanity is fragile, that crowns without hearts cannot last. Diana won, not through war or politics or revolution, through something simpler and more powerful, through making people feel, through showing that royalty didn't have to mean distance, that duty could coexist with compassion. The Queen learned that lesson, late, painfully, but she learned it. The 5-day silence almost destroyed the British monarchy. The lesson it taught might have saved it.